This is the Overlooked Hotel, and as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm sitting here on camera talking to you, it's a slightly different video than usual. Yesterday I posted a documentary entitled The Pointless Martyrdom of Bud Dwyer. Now, for those of you who know who Bud Dwyer is, you can potentially see why this might be problematic. For those of you who don't, there's lots of information online about him, most of it coming without trigger warnings. So check it out, and if you're the kind of person who needs trigger warnings, check it out carefully. Now, this morning the video was flagged as, how do we put it, problematic, difficult, certainly restricted to the over 18s and to people who are signed in and have presumably proved their age. That in itself will restrict the viewership, but that's not necessarily a problem. The restriction is not any kind of strike against the site. It's not even a warning, it's just a restriction. I was fascinated to see that it also came with a secondary email to me offering me help and advice in dealing with the thoughts and feelings that I wasn't having, but which the video itself covers. So whether this was picked up, just flagged because of certain words, I'm not sure. Certainly, I didn't need that help. And it does put into a new context some of the videos that I've seen in the past where I've been somewhat baffled and amused by the way people will struggle to get around particular words and themes, often the main themes of the video that they're making, either by mouthing words silently, going around the houses, as I'm about to do now. Because clearly this was about the fact that Bud Dwyer is no longer with us as a result of his own actions. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get why people do that. Being age restricted, having those other restrictions put on you, it does affect the success of your video. Fewer people will see it. More notably for me, it comes as the Overlooked Hotel is heading towards the point where it can be monetized, and while that shouldn't necessarily be an issue, it kind of is. Clearly I spend a lot of time putting the stuff together that you see on this channel, as well as material that you see on Desperate Living, and it would be nice to get some kind of reward for that at some point. What I don't want is a video suddenly popping up that makes me look like somebody who can't have advertising on the site. And this one has maybe appeared at just the wrong time. So I've decided, for now at least, that I'm going to take it down. It pains me to do that because it feels like capitulation to censorship, even though this isn't really censorship, but it also is. I think that what YouTube did with this video, the age restrictions, the additional information added to the video to guide people who might be having negative feelings towards people who can help them, like the Samaritans in the UK is what comes up when I look at it. I imagine different organisations will come up if you were to look at that video in a different country. That's all fine. That's not censorship whatsoever. And I also think, as a little side note, that it proves that the British government's hysteria about sites like YouTube allowing this kind of material to go unchallenged is nonsense, as we all knew. But why am I taking it down? I just think it's problematic at this stage. I don't think it helps the site. It's going to get fewer views quite clearly, and yeah, it's just not something that is useful at this time. Maybe at some future point it can come back up, be a restricted video, that'll be fine. But I think at this stage, no, it's just the wrong video at the wrong time. Call me Mr. Cave-in, complain that I'm submitting to the whims of the censors, say that I'm chasing money rather than credibility. Do any of those things. They may all have a grain of truth to them. But my channel, my rules. That's the way it is. I have re-upped the video on my Patreon site, where you can see it if you're a member, and if you're not a member you can still watch it for the tiny fee of £3, which is the minimum that I'm allowed to charge. I would have charged less if it was possible, but it's not. So if you're really interested in watching the terrible story of Bud Dwyer and his very foolish attempts to make what were perhaps very valid points in a way that would automatically make people forget those valid points and just focus on the actions that he took, then check it out there. Obviously I have no idea if it will stay up there either, but you can find the link in the description. Normal service will be resumed in a couple of days. There's at least one other video that I have to tweak slightly before it goes live, entirely based on this experience, but also plenty that are completely unproblematic. Maybe you thought the Bud Dwyer piece was out of character for the site anyway. Who can say? I'd be fascinated to know your opinions on that. If you watched it, what you thought. You can let me know all that kind of stuff in the comments. Meanwhile, if you haven't done so yet, then this is a good time to subscribe to The Overlooked Hotel, unless you think that we've just completely wussed out on you. But as mentioned, we are pretty close to that monetization point, so your support in the subscription format would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.